My girlfriend told me she was with a friend, but that friend was with me picking out an engagement ring. How do I confront my girlfriend about her lie? I, 28 male, am planning on proposing to my girlfriend of 3 years, 26 female. Now, I suck at picking out jewelry. I'm the type of guy that doesn't see a problem with heart-shaped jewelry. So every time I want to buy something for my girl, I usually consult one of our mutual friends. My girl's best friends are all friends with me as well, and we all get along well, so asking them for help picking out jewelry is something I'm used to. When it came time to pick out a ring, I consulted my girlfriend's best friend Justine. Justine and I are quite close, and she knows my girlfriend better than anyone, including me. So, when my girlfriend went out to visit her sister and baby nephew, I invited Justine over to the house to help pick out a ring. Justine and I looked through a few catalogs, but decided it was a dead end, and it would be better to go to professionals at a jewelry store. However, I didn't know when my girlfriend would be coming home, so Justine and I thought of a clever text to gauge how much time we had. I asked her when she'd be coming home, as I was ordering takeout and wanted to know when to tell them to have the food ready by. She responded by saying it would be a few hours. She met up with Justine to go shopping. Now, this took me by surprise, since Justine was standing inside my house. I showed Justine the text, and she looked as confused as I was. It isn't out of the ordinary for my girlfriend to meet up with people out of the blue like that for shopping, lunch, etc. She's a very spontaneous person and loves making plans on the fly. So ordinarily, I would have believed this text in a heartbeat. However, this had to be a lie. When she came home she acted completely normal, and I played along, but it's been really hard to act like everything's fine. We got takeout, ate together, and cuddled on the couch after. So far she's caught on a little that something's upsetting me, but I just can't tell her what. Looking at her kills me. I don't know what to do. My girlfriend and I have zero trust issues and we tell each other everything, so this lie is killing me. I want to ask her about it so bad, but if I tell her I knew she was lying, I'd have to explain why, and I really don't want to do that. What do I do? I know she lied to me, but I don't know how to confront her about it. Should I just forget it? This won't stop gnawing at me. Please help. Update. My girlfriend told me she was with a friend, but that friend was with me picking out an engagement ring. How do I confront my girlfriend about her lie? I decided to confront my girlfriend. I thought about using some of the lies people suggested, but they just wouldn't make sense. To say I ran into Justine somewhere, well, I told my girl I had to stay home and do stuff around the house, and that's why I couldn't go with her to see my sister-in-law. To say Justine was helping me pick out jewelry, it doesn't make sense for her to come all the way to our house to help me pick out a piece of jewelry, unless it was a serious piece of jewelry, like an engagement ring. If I just wanted to get her a piece of jewelry as a gift, I'd ask her friends for suggestions, or ask them to send me pictures of jewelry she might like. It all happens over text. None of the excuses made sense. So, I decided to be honest. I basically just said that I knew we'd been thinking about marriage and she probably knew a proposal was coming soon. So I invited Justine over to help me find her the perfect ring, and that so happened to be the day that she said she was going to see her. So, what's the deal? She immediately started grinning like an idiot and prodding me about proposing in the ring. But then we got back onto the topic of where she was, and she confessed what she was doing. No, she wasn't cheating. And no, she wasn't picking out a ring for me. The number of times that was commented was crazy. So, some people are dog people and some people are cat people. Well, me, I'm a snake person. I grew up with snakes my whole life. But I never felt I was able to get one, because my girlfriend has always been uneasy about living with a snake, which I completely respected. Also, the process of buying and raising a snake is very different from that of buying and raising a dog or cat. It's quite complicated. So you could imagine my surprise when my girlfriend showed me a picture of her holding the cutest Kenyan sand boa I have ever seen. Needless to say, my girlfriend was going to surprise me with a snake. We are picking her up next week. I did not expect this, and I feel bad for ruining the surprise, but oh well. Life is good. Sorry if this isn't the ending you guys wanted or expected. Just a snake, haha. Thanks for reading. TLDR. Snake. my fiancé, 26 female, and I, 27 male, decided to break up, but she couldn't move out due to the lockdown. After about 4 months isolating with her, I've realized I don't want to break up anymore. My fiancé and I have been dating since college, and as soon as we graduated, I proposed to her. However, we decided to get married only once we are both financially stable and okay with our jobs. 2 years down the road, we've also been living together for that long. We now meet those requirements. However, our love for each other disappeared. Or at least the spark we used to have. We became very busy. Her with her graduate education plus job and me with my work. I admit I've been spending way too much time in the office, and once I get home, I use my free time to get ahead with deadlines and stuff. She's also constantly stressed as she's juggling her education and her teaching job. We never had time for each other anymore, but we were still busy enough to even notice that. Then March came, she approached me with the subject, and we had a long talk. It was an emotional one. We've known each other for so long after all, and we were reaching our end after so many years. She was already in the process of booking flights to stay with her parents for a while when the lockdown was announced. She decided to not go home anymore in fear of possibly carrying the virus and infecting her family. I agreed with that decision, and since then we've been isolating together. We are both working from home now, and she also finished her studies in April. Because of that, we've been having a lot of free time. At first, it felt a bit awkward. I didn't even know how to talk to her anymore. I got used to short and empty small talk with her, but she's always known how to get me out of my shell, so it didn't take too long before we were having full conversations once again. I just found out that she's had a newfound love for playing Sims 4. She showed me the family she was playing with currently, and I noticed that it was herself and me, plus a dog and a cat whose names were our birth months. Lol. She had been so shy initially, but she doesn't know that I was also feeling flustered then. I think this is a start of me questioning our decision to break up. After that, it was the small things. I also caught her up on how my life has been, how I haven't been taking care of my health lately, etc. And since then she started pushing me to work out with her, and she's also been trying to get me into healthier options of food. I also came to find out new things about her in these months, which is surprising considering how we've been together for many years now. These past few months have been really good. I felt like I was brought back to the times when we first met, and I feel like a high schooler with a crush. The thing is, I'm not sure if I can trust my feelings right now. The only person I've had contact with was her, except for my frequent calls with family and friends, and I may be just having an infatuation right now. I also think we are lucky, since we are both very free right now. But I keep thinking, what happens after the lockdown ends? Will we go back to being those busy people that have too little time for each other? I also don't know how to approach her with this. She's always been the talker in our relationship, you know. But at the same time, I'm also afraid to talk about it and potentially ruin things for us right now. What if she doesn't feel the same? What if she's just treating me kindly because that's what she is, a genuinely kind person? The only hope I'm holding on to right now is the fact that she hasn't planned on going back to her family yet despite domestic travels being allowed in our country now. How do I go on about this? Update: my fiancé, 26 female, and I, 27 male, decided to break up, but she couldn't move out due to the lockdown. After about 4 months isolating with her, I've realized I don't want to break up anymore. So the day after posting that, nothing happened. I spent that day reflecting on what kind of future I see and want with her. I also thought a lot about the past, how we messed it up, how we both got too lost in our jobs, etc. In my original post, I asked if what I'm feeling could be just an infatuation that would go as quickly as I came. But I realized that my feelings for her never really disappeared to begin with. It's like my heart just went in a deep sleep and I forgot how much feelings I carry for her. I think some of you may know and have pointed out that I'm not good at communicating my feelings. I tend to keep things to myself, and my fiancé is one of the few people who can be patient with that. Some suggested writing a letter instead, or a note, or marry her in Sims. I ended up with drafts of sappy letters that I ended up scraping, and a sad attempt to recreate us in The Sims. But still, I wanted to make an effort to show her what I couldn't say through words. I've heard about her wanting a few DLCs in The Sims in the past, so I had the idea to buy a few for her. Sims DLCs are pretty expensive, especially in our currency. Surprised her by stealing her laptop for a few hours, and once I gave it back to her, she was elated and so happy. It was nice seeing her get so excited over it. We played together that whole day and tried to solve the mystery in Strangerville, a game pack in The Sims. It was so fun. The next day, I found her in the kitchen trying to bake something. It was a blueberry cheesecake recipe she saw on YouTube. I became her cooking assistant that day, helping her as much as I could, and we ended up with a pretty decent outcome that I bet would tasted better if I hadn't messed up so much. She still said she had so much fun and loved the cheesecake though. The next day, which is just yesterday, something important happened. We were just snuggled up on the couch playing when our Sims just autonomously tried for baby in the bed. It was hilarious, and we initially laughed about it, but then we got pretty silent. She then closed her laptop and hugged me tightly then, without saying anything. I think that was my realization that she feels the same as I do. So I knew I had to speak up. I'm still impressed at myself for managing to talk yesterday without choking up. Basically opening up the conversation, like, are you planning to go to your parents soon? And she said no, she doesn't feel like it yet. I asked her why. She told me she wanted to stay. I told her I wanted her to stay too. We went to sleep that night just huddled together. And even though we didn't explicitly say it, I think we are now aware of each other's feelings, and it feels like a huge improvement to me. Earlier we ate breakfast together. We weren't as chatty as we've been the last few months, but the silence was comforting. We also watched Knives Out together. We haven't had the conversation yet, but I'm going to bring it up to her tonight. I'm really glad this whole ordeal went much nicer than I expected it would, and I'm relieved I didn't let my doubts get the best of me. Though I still have to get better with how I communicate things. I'm going to learn for her. TLDR, we both feel the same towards each other. We are yet to have a talk, but I know now, without a doubt, that she still loves me too. Update 2, my fiancé, 26 female, and I, 27 male, decided to break up, but she couldn't move out due to the lockdown. After about 4 months isolating with her, I've realized I don't want to break up anymore. Right now my fiancé is sleeping next to me. Yes, we talked. As soon as I posted this, I logged out and gathered myself so I can tell her what's been in my mind for months. It's not something so exciting. We just sat down together and talked about what went wrong before. I told her the things I said in my last post, and she admitted to worrying about what happens after the lockdown gets fully lifted too. We both acknowledged that we worked too hard to become financially stable so that we can get married. Right now though, all we could do is a promise and talk about how we are going to manage our time better, since we have no idea if our country is ever going to return to normal. The curve is not getting flattened at all, and the quarantine is about to get extended again. And then we talked about our feelings. I got to tell her I love her again, for the first time in years probably, and she told me the same. After that it was back to a lighter conversation. We just bonded until she fell asleep. I honestly thought only a handful of people would see my post. I made sure to use Reddit because this isn't a big platform in our country, and I was sure she wouldn't see this post, but now that there are like 20,000 upvotes as I'm typing this, I think she might stumble upon this post sooner or later. Well then, I know she's going to be whining a lot about this, but she'd be glad to know that a lot of people found our relationship wholesome. I know some people are thinking, why haven't you just talked to her in the first place? But getting some perspective from other people did help give a push. I think if I left myself alone with the thoughts I was having, things would have gone a lot worse, so I'm grateful. Thank you again. I, 29 female, keep finding long hairs in my bathroom, which is strange because my husband, 32 male, is bald and I have a short pixie crop hairstyle. This started a few weeks ago. While cleaning the bathroom I found several long hair strands over my bathroom wall by the shower. This struck me as very odd, because not only does my husband not have hair, I also wear a very cropped, short hairstyle. So it's impossible for the strands I found to belong to either me or my husband. Confused, I washed them away, but couldn't stop thinking about it. I decided not to mention it, but kept looking out for them. There seems to be a pattern that hairs are appearing when I'm either at work or out for a longer period. I feel like I'm going crazy and feel like I shouldn't just immediately go to my husband cheating on me with a long-haired woman. I asked my husband about it and he just shrugged, which makes me more paranoid, as surely this is strange, so why is he so blasé about it? I'm starting to think he's playing it down to stop me from finding out the truth. It happened again 2 days ago and I asked my husband again. He dismissed it, but this time admitted it's strange, but told me the only explanation is that they must be my hairs. They are not, and after saying so, now he'll just ignore me if I bring it up. I don't want to assume my husband is cheating on me and accuse him of such over something so ridiculous, but I'm driving myself into the ground trying to work out how the hairs have got there without my husband dismissing it as nothing. During the lockdown, we haven't had any visitors that I know of, so can rule out his sister. TL. Doctor, I believe my husband is cheating on me because I keep finding long hairs in the bathroom, which can't possibly belong to either of us. Update. I, 29 female, keep finding long hairs in my bathroom, which is strange because my husband, 32 male, is bald and I have a short pixie crop hairstyle. I ultimately decided against getting a secret camera set up because ironically enough I didn't want to betray my partner's trust, though part of me wanted to get one to squash any worries of someone living in my walls, as per some comments said. I did though plan to leave work early, which is something I've never done before. My boss allowed me to leave after a half day. Upon returning home, nothing seemed amiss. I was expecting another car on the drive or parked outside on the street. There was no other car I didn't recognize. Quietly letting myself in, I was immediately confused. In the hallway, there was a pair of shoes I didn't recognize, and not only that, they looked like men's shoes. Standing in the hallway trying to work out what to do, if I should sneak around or make my presence known. Before I could decide, my husband walked out of the kitchen with 2 cups of tea. By my husband's face it was obvious he was surprised to see me. Playing along with Navit, I asked my husband how he could have known I was coming home early to make me tea. Expecting my husband to lie, he surprised me by sitting me down and explaining everything. At the beginning of lockdown, his friend, someone I'm not all that close with because we only met once, was evicted, lost his job, and had been couch surfing. So for some days over the past couple of weeks, this guy has been traveling to our house, and with the acceptance of my husband, using our bathroom to freshen up to attend interviews. He was also borrowing shirts and suits from my husband. As it turns out, my husband's friend has long hair and a beard. So it turns out my husband isn't cheating on me, but was hiding the fact his long-haired friend was coming over to use our shower. After his shower, I ended up meeting Dave, and he turned out to be a very nice bloke just down on his luck. I wished him the best for his socially distanced interview and he went on his way. I asked my husband why he didn't just tell me, as I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Turns out he was worried about my reaction and me not liking his friend or approving of the situation. He also told me Dave was very embarrassed about the whole situation and didn't want people to know what he was having to do. I told my husband I was starting to believe he was cheating, and he was shocked, having not even considering those implications while attempting covering for his friend. I told him this whole thing was ridiculous and even suggested his friend live with us until he's back on his feet. Funnily enough, my worst case scenario which was mentioned in the replies was either a homeless man or woman living in my walls and sneakily using the shower. And though this seems to be half the case, I'm glad it wasn't a stranger as such, that wasn't unwelcome, and someone that wasn't living in my walls. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, hit like, get subscribed, and tell us which story you found to be the most interesting in the comment section, and support the original writers with upvotes, links in the description box.